What's happening, all you stoners and stonettes out there in YouTube land? It's a beautiful, beautiful summer day in Washington, D.C., and I'm here to tell y'all about the news and updates in the cannabis community in the DMV area. As specifically, it relates to the medical marijuana community and the goings on in the scientific subcommittee meetings, which I have been a witness to the past two meetings. So I have the minutes here that I'm going to share with y'all and some of the new rulemakings that have come out. But first, I would like to tell y'all about this Fire Master hash that I picked up at Capital City Care. It's like so beautiful. It is tasty. Phil, the maker, he was a bud tender, and he's moved up in the world. I love seeing people move up in the world. That is like awesome, going from bud maker to now master hasher. And with this, he deserves the title of master hasher. So I don't know if that's an actual title, but hey, I'm giving it to him. Phil, you're a master hasher, man. Awesome. And you know, he has done all of this because in my conversations with him, without being a patient in DC. So it's like Beethoven writing a symphony and directing a symphony without being able to hear. And that's exactly what this is. Before I get into this nonsense with what's happening in the political world of medical marijuana in DC, I got to take a little hit of this because it's craziness. I'm going to tell you on that now. Perfect. Hitting it with herb iron, bringing out Master Taste Kush and the Fire OG. Yeah, it's good stuff. But anyways, here is the final rulemaking of of the increase of the allowed limit in DC, which is 2 ounces of dried cannabis or tinctures or edibles or whatever their equivalent is. I don't exactly know how they do their equivalents with tinctures and edibles because that's done in milligrams, and 2 ounces in milligrams is a whole hell of a lot. So I doubt that's how they rate the system. Don't exactly know how they do it, but here is what the new, it was an emergency rulemaking at first, and now it has become finalized. It lets people have 2 ounces of dried medical marijuana or the equivalent of 2 ounces of dried medical marijuana when sold in any other form. So that's tinctures, stuff like oils. I guess edibles falls into that category. But here's the catch. As it stands right now, only one person in DC on the emergency rule basis has been granted this. So I'm thinking that's probably a kid who needs the CBD tinctures and everything. So great. I'm glad that they helped the person that really needed it. So that's awesome that they did that. But here is how it's written now in the final rulemaking and the DC registry and everything. Okay, it says a written request for the qualifying patient to get that increase from 2 ounces to 4 ounces in any other form is the doctor must provide a separate thing other than just a recommendation form like they have to do now. They must give the qualifying patient's name and age, clinical diagnosis. They used to have to do that until the law changed that said the doctors no longer have to give that information out, the patient's clinical history, the treatment plan, the reason that the waiver for over 2 ounces is being requested, the recommended form of medical marijuana, the recommended amount, concentration, or dosage of medical marijuana that the qualifying patient needs within a 30-day period, and any other information requested by the department. What this is goes beyond a prescription. It really does. This is why we have recommendation systems and we don't call them prescriptions, is because the doctor who's writing this, with all of this information, this is a prescription. This is more than a prescription. Even them asking for this information goes beyond what they should be doing. That doctor, whoever is doing it for that one patient, I'm glad that doctor had the courage and do what he needed to do to help his patient, but he's running foul of federal law at this point, because this is a prescription, it's not a recommendation. So that's what's happening right now. That's now been officially put in the DC Register. So great, people can get that done and everything. I doubt many people are, because like I said, doctors are not going to want to risk their licenses by writing a prescription for something they can't write a prescription for. Okay, so to fix that problem, there is an entirely new, the meeting was about increasing the dried amount from 2 ounces to 4 ounces for everybody. Great. That was great. I like going there. I like seeing the people involved, the movers and the shakers, and the people who are actually making the recommendations to get this stuff done. I had a problem looking online finding who the committee members actually were in the scientific subcommittee. In the intergovernmental committee, that was easy to find. Those are like chief of police, all people there. It's public knowledge and everything. So, but I had to look around, and eventually I had to go. I got the meeting minutes here from the open session that took place in last month in May. And so to have the committee members' names, because I couldn't find that online on the Department of Health website. If you're in a public committee member, you need to list who these people are. That's just, it should be done. So let me tell y'all, I'm not even sure if this is the full committee members, but this is the people I know. Is Dr. Yowanda Johnson. She's an anesthesiologist. She's the lady who asked for a pie chart. She wanted to see the pie chart of stuff and everything. Dr. Daniel Perlin, he's also an anesthesiologist. He sits on another committee of the Medical Society of DC, MSDC, and you go to their website and it says big thanks to our sponsor Pfizer. So it really comes up looking, and the comments he made, the disrespectful comments, the lackadaisical, like that word, attitude that Dr. Perlin took was insulting, not just to me, but to the other patients in the room. And it just shows that he's not somebody who's up on any kind of information. Dr. Andrew Robbie was also there. He did not say or mention anything in the meeting. He just sat there and listened and took in information. I looked up his stuff, and he's one of the directors at Unity Healthcare. Unity Healthcare provides low-income people and no-income people with health services. Anyone can just walk into a Unity clinic all over DC and get pretty good health coverage. You might have to wait in line for a while, but they'll take care of you there. DC actually is really, really good about taking care of the health of the people who live here. And a person who wasn't there, the committee member last time who wasn't there, was Dr. Michael Yokelson. I couldn't find out much about him except he's a neurologist and specializes in degenerative stuff with the spine, and then helping people who have spinal injuries progress and everything. So I couldn't find out any more information about that with him. So those were the people who were there and not there last time. This meeting I went to about 2 days ago was canceled because they couldn't reach a quorum. And for anyone who doesn't speak, rules and regulations of governmental stuff, quorum means that you can't go on with the meeting because the committee members are not present. Again, lackadaisical attitude of committee members saying, hey, we've got this meeting scheduled well over a month in advance, and we're just, hey, not going to show up and not even going to tell anybody. So members of the community, is a public meeting, I took time off to go there and see what was happening, and not even post that information that they're not even going to be there. I understand these people are doctors. I get that. They're very, very busy people. They're out there helping people, all of that. Good. I get that they're busy, but they should have posted that the meeting was going to be canceled, not going to happen. Why even have people show up at that time? So I was kind of PO'd about that. I understand things come up but also it's like they're going to reschedule it for next week. What's up happening next week, huh? What's happening next week? Oh yeah, July 4th is happening next week. That meeting's not going to happen. Okay, they're going to get everyone together on July 4th, the week of July 4th, all these doctors and doctors and anesthesiologists particularly. You'll notice anesthesiologists sit in a lot of committees and all of that. I guess because, knocking people out for surgery is not that hard to do. Hell, I could do that. Just give me a frying pan and bam, that person's out for surgery. Good to go. Cut them open. But anyways, so the anesthesiologists, they sit on a lot of committees, and so they're going out for July 4th weekend. They're going boating or whatever doctors do, on holiday. So, okay, that's meeting. It's not going to happen. Anyways, so I've talked with another patient who was at the meeting, and he told me that he heard from a reputable source that what they're gonna do, and this is kind of what I was thinking that they were leaning towards anyways, was their backroom dealing and recommending to the mayor that they increase it from 2 ounces to 3 ounces. Okay, I'm all for compromise. I'm all for that. Just understand, we're going to be back here next year about increasing it to 4 ounces. It might not have anything to do with it really needing to be up at 4 ounces at that point. I don't know. But it's going to be like that because on the business aspect, if Maryland is accepting DC patients who see Maryland doctors and are getting treated in Maryland to have cards, and that Maryland is allowing 4 ounces, it's just bad business practice to have patients go to another state to see other doctors, to go to other dispensaries. Why would you want to do that? Keep patients seeing in DC, in the good health care community that we have here. Keep them here. Don't make them go, even if it is 3 or 4 miles into Maryland. Don't make them do that. We got a good system here. Let's just keep it up to date with what everybody else around the area is doing. And so there's one more thing I wanted to bring up. What they wanted to see at the last meeting for Dr. I do believe it was Dr. Johnson who asked for the pie chart and wanted more information about from specifically what patients are happening in DC. So let me go back to what they wanted. Oh, yes. They were asking for the information that they were asking, specifically the one doctor who was there, who was a prescriber. They were asking him, the clinician, not a researcher, a clinician, asking him to compile 25 of his patients, give them patient's initials, patient's age, gender, year the patient received medical marijuana recommendation, patient's medical diagnosis, names and dosing regimen of those medications used to treat the patient's conditions that the patient was on prior to taking medical marijuana, medication and dosing regimen after the patient was in the program for 4 months, medication and dosing regimen the patient is currently on as of June, your assessment as of June, 25 patients who go to see him 3 times, two times at the most is what you should be doing, 3 times sometimes for this, and he want to know their dosing regimen as of June. Who goes to see a doctor that you get, even a doctor who's giving you refills for stuff every 3? You don't go see any doctor for if all you're doing is checkups every single month. But the most part, you'll do every 2, every 3 months, just for medication refills. Anyone who's had to be on medication long term knows that that's usually the way it's done. So they're asking for that doctor to have current as of June, and they want that information in June and in July. That's not going to happen even for 25 of his patients. Assessment of the patient's health status, the most recent visit compared to before starting the medical marijuana, including any reduction of symptoms from the patient's diagnosis, patient's decreased use of opioids or other medications. Nowhere have I given a release. They were asked, this was my doctor, nowhere has I signed a release saying that they can give any of this information about me. I understand that it's not really identifying information about it, but it can be worked out pretty easily when there's only 3 3,500 patients, who these people are. So it redirects and the patient's development of tolerance to THC or cannabinoids. They wanted all that information compiled by my doctor, the clinician, in a month for 25 patients. And first of all, this isn't even a research, 25 patients in his office. That's not even a research sampling. Anyone who's ever done any kind of good statistics know that this is not a research sampling. This is not something you can do in one city. They're asking some pretty big questions here, and they're asking somebody whose job is not to compile this data. His job is to treat his patients. And he's doing a pretty good job at it. I've seen him more than my recommended time for the medical marijuana, because I'm also in his pain management clinic. In that pain management clinic, I'm off of all the opioids. So you know what? I'm glad if he can put my stuff in there, because it will say that I was on opioids before being in the medical marijuana program, and now I'm completely off of them. So good, I can fit in to one of those 25 slots, and I hope it's randomized, all of that. He does what his job is. But as a clinician, I really don't think he's worried about the randomization of just picking 25 names out the hat, especially when they're asking for the most updated stuff like they are. So it's going to be, they're asking for stuff that's impossible, and even if he did provide it, it's not going to be accurate. It's not competent research there. This is ridiculous. Anyways, I'm going to take another hit of this excellent hash. I'm going to start a petition to go around to all of the dispensaries for the patients to sign, saying that the attitude that some of these people on the board have had has been insulting. Is one member specifically insulting, another member just not knowing what she can and can't ask for, wanting a pie chart of stuff from a clinician, not a researcher, and not knowing other stuff that's happening in other states, other research that's come out in other states, specifically the reduction in opioid use. Studies have been going on in other states about that in a responsible manner. Hadn't happened in DC, probably not going to happen in DC. So the lackadaisical attitude, the blowing off the meeting without telling members of the community about it, scheduling a meeting for July 4th week, which isn't going to happen, and so it's gonna. I'll let y'all know if it happens. I'll be there if it happens. I will blow off July 4th. What my plans to be there to let y'all know what happens. To know if that little birdie who told me it's going to be up to 3 ounces and not 4 ounces is correct or not. I'm really hoping it is. I'm thinking it is. We'll all keep our fingers crossed until that time, people. This has been a long video. If you stayed with me for me the whole thing, I love y'all. Everybody out there, stay stoned.